Welcome to another episode of
As a Man Thinketh
with Trey D.
and Good Man.
All right, we're getting started. We're getting started today, man. We're closing out As a Man Thinketh, right?
Yep, we are. We
All
are.
right.
We got doing the last three chapters, which were relatively short.
Yeah.
So chapter 4 was the thought factor in achievement. Chapter 5 was vision and ideals.
Yep.
And chapter 6 was serenity,
Yeah.
which we are all in pursuit of.
Now, we are broadcasting this, we're filming this and recording this actually on a holiday.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, we are.
as you see, we're kind of dedicated to this work right now.
This is what we do.
So we want to make sure that we encourage you to read, make sure that you get into a book, find us. You'll find a list of all the books that we're reading or that we probably even have read together in the comments or in our bio section. So make sure you check those out.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get on in it.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
All right. So my idea here was that we would summarize each chapter.
Okay.
And then have a conversation about it.
Sure.
Whether we agreed with what we read or disagreed.
Oh, there's going to be some quibbles.
All right. I love that word, quibbles. That's quibbles, dog. So the way I looked at if I had to sum up the thought factor in achievement into, I don't know, a couple sentences, was that it asked the question to me, does thought affect achievement? That's the way I took out of it, right? Because that's the name of the chapter.
Right.
What is the factor of it? And it just goes back to as you think. And I like the language that they use. It's kind of funny to me because it's like, as a man thinketh, so as he. And if he continues to think that way, so he remains. So it says, as he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. They keep it so simple. And so in this, it just goes through all these different ways that thoughts affect achievement.
True.
It's just it's kicking a dead horse to me. Just constantly just saying the same thing over and over in different ways.
The repetition is one of the first ways we really learn. So it's kind of like you got to hit them and get them and get them and get them and hit them and hit them and hit them and get them and get them. And I think, once that and you start to get, he's saying the same thing over and over. It's something that we got to keep paying attention to.
Right,
So.
right. And so in that, when I read that, it comes back to the second paragraph. He says, a strong man cannot help a weaker unless that weaker is willing to be helped. And even then, the weak man must become strong of himself.
Ooh.
He must, by his own efforts, develop the strength which he admires in another. None but himself can alter this condition.
Two things I heard about that when I read that. I immediately went to my grandmother used to say, make sure you provide good help. That's one thing. Two, you got to make sure that if you're providing good help, it's somebody that's willing to be helped. Not everybody wants to be in another place. Some people like where they are. Some people like, whatever the situation is. Some people like where their circumstances.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of the person that gets mad at you for helping them in a situation too. And people who won't move for themselves.
Right.
And they expect, and I don't know why I keep having this vision. I don't know what this is, where someone that has a rope and someone's sitting on a chair and they have able body, they can move their hands and legs and everything, but they're sipping on lemonade. And someone's just doing all the work. And then when they get to the top, damn, you couldn't have pulled me up faster. And it's like, I'm helping you. I had a good friend of mine. I was just telling Trey a little bit about this. I had a good friend of mine call me. Them good hands. I catch it. Right. See, if y'all, the folks who don't see this, the ones on audio, Trey Moan got some fast hands.
Oh man, we good.
But he had called me. I love this brother to death, but whenever he calls me, it's for something. Like it's for I have to give him something, which is all right. I'll go with that. But whenever I call him, he don't call me back. I'm like, I get so. I'm like, what? Wait, we friends though. Now in his mind, if he's hearing this right now, he's probably like, it ain't even like that. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't know. I don't know. But that's what I feel like. So yesterday, it's holiday time. I got a call at a peculiar time. I did not pick up.
Something's up, yeah.
I didn't pick up. And so I believe in helping people help themselves. And sometimes you help them by not helping them. That's been my experience. It's that you relied on me for this thing. Now that you weren't unable to get that thing, now you are now forced to figure out another way to get it. Now either you will attempt to still rely on other people, or you will use your own ingenuity to have something that sustains you. And so,
that sounds like you too, man. You know, so either we're gonna empower or we're gonna disempower, which also we create dependency,
right?
And so we see that a lot. Actually, we see that a lot for those of us that are in the nonprofit sector. Sometimes you gotta pay attention to that too. But actually, we can talk about that in government as well. We can either do empowering policies, or we can create policies that actually create disempowerment or dependency.
Welfare. Excuse me.
So keep that in mind. This is something to keep in mind every single time. This is how we flow. So that makes sense though, man. And then because you're also creating a boundary around that too. So like you create the boundary of like, hey, I don't want to be because it's good to help, but also you have to be mindful if the help is becoming a crutch. If you, when you talked about,
right,
because you've broken a bone before.
Yes.
Right. If you just keep wearing that cast.
Oh, right. I see where you're going there, brother.
If you were to keep wearing that cast, we got a whole different problem.
Yeah, because underneath that thing, your legs is becoming emaciated.
Yeah. It's full muscle atrophy and everything else going on, right? So because of that, because you're not working your own muscle, right?
That's good.
If you're not working your own muscle, you funny. If you're not working your own muscle, it's going to atrophy. So something to keep in mind: work your muscles.
Vision, y'all. I know we're talking about vision. We're gonna get the vision ideals, but real quick, I get like little downloads. So when he was talking about working your own muscle, I just saw somebody in the gym and someone's lifting up their arm and they're moving their arm for them. Nothing. It's doing nothing. Nothing for you.
Well, outside of keeping blood flowing, like you're living. Right. It's moving stuff.
I can give you that.
But it's not giving you the strength that you really need. Right. Because at some point, if your therapist is still just moving your arm, and what they should be trying to do is helping you get to in a place where you can do it yourself.
Right. Resistance.
Yeah.
You add resistance to that thing, because if you're not actually tightening your muscle, you're not working it.
Yeah.
So. Oh, and I have to go down to this next paragraph real quick, and then we'll get to the next section. But because this to me was one of those ones where it's like, is this true? Well, actually, it's two paragraphs. I'm gonna read it quick, but you'll enjoy this. It has been usual for men to think and to say, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor. Now, however, there's amongst an increasing few a tendency to reverse this judgment and to say, one man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves. Now, the truth is that oppressor and slave are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge perceives the action of law and the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the suffering which both states entail, condemns neither. A perfect compassion embraces both oppressor and oppressed. So, off the top of the brain, when I was reading that, because I was thinking, because people are going to bring up slavery.
Yeah.
People bring up, throughout time, throughout places.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you tell those who were oppressed, they weren't being oppressed. You know what I mean? But I think of Frederick Douglass.
Okay. And
when I think of Frederick Douglass, when he started to learn how to read, one of the slave masters, I think wife would teach him. And there was something innate within him that he just didn't believe that he was this slave. And that's why when he came down to his slave master try to beat him, he fought back. And eventually, we know the story. He leaves. He gets away. Yeah. But he wasn't going to be a part of that game. He wasn't going to be a part of that thinking that this is supposed to be my life.
Yeah.
He actually went against the grain, and became free, which took him out of that paradigm.
Yeah, I think it's problematic always. Just to add to that too, it's problematic to identify with a terrible condition.
For that to be a part of, when you say
meaning
identify?
like that's who I am. So this is why we don't, even right now, we even use the, enslaved people than slaves, right? We're talking about a condition of a person, not the identity of the person or the group, right? It's language, how we use it. Y'all, you've seen me talk, we talk about language a lot on this podcast, but that's really important. So even as you're noticing what I think even James is saying, maybe I'm inferring, I'm not sure, it's my own thing. But as you in that space, you like, Dr. Zimbardo, if y'all know anything about social psychology, y'all probably seen the prison experiment. You know about this?
I don't know.
Where they actually took young people from college, put them in a prison as guard and prisoners. Atrocities occurred because of the role that they identified with.
Okay, example.
Right? So basically, they started to treat the prisoners, who were all actors.
Right. Oh, I see.
Right? Started to treat the guard started to treat the prisoners in a particular way that was not proper.
Right.
So you start to adopt with the characters that you believe that you are. And there's something about keeping that in mind as you talk about the oppressed and the oppressor.
Right.
If you feel that you're oppressed, that means you've also identified to being oppressed. So you may be identifying or taking on oppressive traits or traits of those that are oppressed when you need not.
Say it with your chest, Trey.
It puts you in a conflicting space. It puts you really in. If you feel that you're empowered, you're probably going to walk in power. If you feel that you're impressed, you're going to walk in and walk oppressed.
Right.
Something to think about.
Yep.
That's what we're here to do. Just something to think about.
Yeah, because when you identify with that adjective, with that thing, you're actually focusing in on a small part of what you all can encompass. Because all humans at points can feel oppressed or be the ones oppressing at any given time. But once it's like choosing a lens. It's like, let me see, oppressor or oppressed lens.
Yes.
I think I like this lens. I'm gonna use this one, not realizing that you can't see outside of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes from men and women and black and white. And then it's so many different layers. So if I'm white and I'm a male, or if I'm white and I'm a woman and I'm black and I'm a dude, like, we're human. So again, so I'm coming from the paradigm of that we are spirits living a human experience.
That's so good.
Yeah, once you start there, like,
yeah, got that download.
Start there.
Yeah.
Let that be the lens in which you look through. You may have a better one. I mean, you may have a one that's even wider scope than that.
Yeah.
So choosing the different lens gives you an opportunity to have a different experience, which again changes the thought, because the lens I'm saying that you look out of is actually the one I'm saying you think through.
And that lens is telling us, so the lens gives us the meaning, the definition, the reason, all of those things. And it's very, very quick, right?
Yes.
So I think about this there's a model we like to talk about, is the human experiential model. Have we talked about this before?
No. Not well.
Maybe
you probably told me.
Yeah, we probably talked. All right, so because this is exactly what you like sparked. So the situation is let's say for life. The situation for life in this human experiential model is pretty neutral. It is just life happening. It has good, it's bad, it has tragedy and triumph. It's balance of the whole. How we experience that situation, that circumstance, that event, that moment, life itself, depends upon this part 2, the definition, the meaning, the lens in which we see it. The lens in which we see it determines a whole bunch of other stuff. First thing it tells us is what emotion, well, the first couple of things it's going to tell us is what emotion we're going to feel.
Okay.
So if I have a negative emotion about what's going on in life, it's because I'm seeing it. The prism I'm using is a negative. See what I mean?
Right.
So same thing you saying.
Right.
And then that also tells us, because I'm having a negative definition or negative meaning from a negative prism, I'm having a negative emotion, what type of behavior? I'm not going to have a positive emotion out of that.
Dude, he just talking about planting seeds, but
Right.
I'm still with you.
So you have a behavior or an action that is based upon what meaning you place to situations, opportunities, life.
Ooh, Trey, this goes back to our.
Yeah.
Ooh, did I stop you?
No. Well, I got one more.
Yeah, keep going.
I always say this at the end. The pattern of behaviors gives us what the results are going to be. So it starts with what the prism is that we're using to filter in the experience, and the experience gives us a result from there.
Dang. When you said that, that made me think of light, the different colors of light through the prism.
Absolutely.
It is right.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
That is so good. And you know that the experiment was, when that experiment, it was white light coming into the prism to show those colors.
Right.
And some of the scientists were like, no, that's just because of the prism. No, what the real thing is that white light is all the colors, and you're experiencing them basically through how you see it, through the prism.
Through the prism.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because there's different frequencies within the space. Man, okay, so all right, so that's one way. The other thing, it hit me on a conversation you and me had years ago. I don't know if you've ever changed this, because I don't remember your side of it.
Okay.
I just remember my side. So when I say it, I feel like you'll respond to it.
Okay.
I believe life is meaningless, and we provide the meaning for it. Right? You had one. It was similar, but it was a flipped. And so I remember thinking, I don't remember exactly what yours is. It'll come to me maybe as I speak it.
Yeah.
I felt like whatever you thought it was is that life was like a library.
Yeah.
Full of books.
Yes.
But you just got to find the book.
Yes.
I remember you saying that. I was like, yeah, but I feel like, I don't know if I feel like we are the book, or if I feel like, because we get to choose the meaning.
Yeah.
Because if we get to choose, then there is no victim. There is no something outside of me is forcing me to do this thing. Like there's no fate in it to some degree, I guess.
Okay.
But I don't remember where we were going with that. I just don't know. You said something that made me think that life is meaningless. We then can provide the meaning for it based on the prism, because we're making the choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this thing to become that. But it was, it was just a while back that we talked about that.
I can't remember everything, but I think the first thing that would come to mind is that I would quibble.
I know we did.
I don't think it would be meaningless. I wouldn't
Right.
use that. I think it is full of potential
I would agree to
and
that.
chaos that we have, full of potentiality and chaos. And we have the opportunity by living life to put meaning within all of that. That's the way I would start.
Okay. All right.
And you do have books and all that good stuff. I also think, but you have to figure out a way to be the hero of your story.
Right.
If you are the book, because you are the story, you got to figure out how you be the hero in that space.
I would agree to that. I would agree, and we'll hit on that some more time down the road
that's
too.
fine. Yeah.
But how apropos it brings us into visions and ideals.
True.
So when you looked at this chapter, what did you pull away from it? I'll say ultimately, if you want to either summarize it or what the visions and ideals mean to you.
Here's a good line. The greatest achievement was at first and for a time a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, The bird waits in the egg, and the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. This reminded me of, like, I think God gives us a torch and we talked about this, torch and a lighthouse. And it's dark. We don't know what's going on ahead of us. We just know that that's the vision, where we know we're supposed to be going, and we have this torch in this darkness. We can see everything around us. We can see our way a couple steps back, a couple steps to the right, to the left, whatever it may be. But we can't see the full path.
Right.
And so it makes me, every step that we take is like sowing another seed. It allows us to go to the next place. And I keep thinking about that a lot. I think that's where it kind of comes into play.
Yeah, that to me even goes back to what we were saying about and I'll keep going back to this prism thing, or through the lens in which you choose to look. It is the culmination of, it is the actualization of the aim. What I'm looking at, I've chosen to look at, and therefore I can see it. And now that in itself is the manifestation because a baby can't do what I'm doing even right now. But that I can see this thing, it's actualized. And I think if we could see life like that, like just taking steps. When a baby steps and falls, I get this from Abraham, the baby doesn't, we don't say, "Get up, you idiot." And we don't say and the baby doesn't say, "Damn, I don't want to do this anymore." The baby just gets up and continues to attempt to walk.
True.
Not even seeing the danger around he or she. It's boom.
Toddlers be just trying to kill themselves. You know, they be trying to, like, I want to go down the stairs. No.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, you just,
But they're always moving, and they're not judging until, I think they don't begin to judge until we tell them, like you just said, no, don't go down those stairs. No. And then what do they start doing with it too, if you have any kids? No. They'll start telling you no. No. I just wanted to go off that, but
keep going.
I like this statement. It says, whatever your present environment may be, you will fail, remain, or rise with your thoughts.
Come on, man.
Your vision, your ideal. You will become as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration. And in the beautiful words of Stanton Kirkham Davis, you may be keeping accounts, and I'm doing like, you may be keeping accounts, and you may be keeping accounts, and presently you shall walk out of the door that for so long has seemed to you the barrier of your ideals, and shall find yourself before an audience, the pen still behind your ear, the ink stains on your fingers, and then and there shall pour out the torrent of your inspiration. You may be driving sheep, and you shall wander to the city, bucolic and open mouthed, shall wander under the intrepid guidance of the Spirit into the studio of the Master, and after a time he shall say, I have nothing more to teach you. It's a long-ass quote. I'm going to keep going. And now you have become the Master, who did so recently dream of great things while driving sheep. You shall lay down the saw and the plane to take upon yourself the regeneration of the world. So, all that to say, you dreamed it, you did it, you done it.
You can retire.
You can retire, yes. And this took me back to all the jobs when I was dishwashing at Spoosu. I was dishwashing overnight, had 17 hours to do, but I got it done. Did not want to be in that state. And at that time, it was just like, I just want a regular job. But I remember always wanting to act. I always wanted to be speaking. And then getting that first job and saying, this ain't going to work. And then getting laid off and then get all these things. And now I'm finally here. Well, not even finally here. I've reached a particular goal, and now I'm continuing to move forward in my dreams as far as speaking and comedy and philosophy.
As you wander under the intrepid gardens of the spirit into the studio of the master. That's what it sounds like you are right now.
Right. I'm in that studio. Yes. But so in here, there was another statement that they said that I thought we would have. Real quick. To desire is to obtain. To aspire is to achieve. I said, well, okay, hold on.
Run that back.
Hold on. So you're saying to desire is to obtain. To aspire is to achieve. So then I was like, well, what's the difference between obtaining something and achieving something? So I was like, okay, well, obtain. When I think of obtainment, I'm literally thinking of I have obtained some type of item, like literally holding it.
Yep.
And not necessarily through anything special, I guess. Whereas I think achieve, when you aspire, I felt like achieving is kind of going through obstacles of some nature to achieve. Even though achieve and obtain are both to grasp, to receive, to take hold of.
Yeah, I like it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, why these words? What is he saying to me that I'm missing?
I think he's trying to get us to think about the tangible and intangible tangibles. The tangible success or the concepts of success from an intangible and tangibles.
Okay.
So the tangible, the things that we can grab a hold of, would be based upon our desires. The things that we cannot hold, but we accomplish, would be the intangibles of success, or the intangible success. That's right. That would sound like.
He know that sound good too.
He's
like, well, you know.
I don't know. I'm thinking.
It sound better. What? No. I mean, not in that way, but I'm saying.
But I think that's what it is, and I kind of like that. Because it even helps me as I think about, as we go into these spaces, what do you aspire to? I always talk about who do you aspire to be, which is a different question to what do you want, kind of, right? So even if we think about, we can break that down. That what do I want? We can give them a point of like what they want to really obtain. Like I want to have $1 million. That's one thing. But if I gave you $1 million, if I gave you $10 million,
okay,
we know you wouldn't trade that for not being able to wake up tomorrow.
Right. Period.
You also, if I gave you $10 million, but you just had $10 million, you couldn't leverage it, you couldn't spend it, you couldn't, trade it for anything. You'd be like, it's worthless.
Right.
Why? Because it's not necessarily just about obtaining. It's about also the results of that particular level of success, or whatever that thing is. And so it's about the experience. It's like, who do you become now that you have $10 million?
Right.
What is the experience of life that person has as you build wealth? It's not about just building wealth. It's really about the experience of wealth that you're really after. So that kind of helps me bring that in.
Yeah, and I think you're close, not even close, but to what he was saying, because he says after that sentence was, shall man's basest desires receive the fullest measure of gratification, and his purest aspirations starve for lack of sustenance. Such is not the law. Such a condition of things can never obtain as can receive.
Yes, sir.
So, because even in saying all of that...
Wait, come on, keep going to that. Come on. Dream lofty dreams, he says.
Yep.
And as you dream, so shall you become.
Yep.
Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil.
Wow.
That boy preaching.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And so what I noticed in this chapter, now that you even continue to go, and we're going to get to Serenity because of time, was that he's actually walking through like the dream sequence for me. It's like he keeps saying it over and over again. Each paragraph. It's just this whole thing of it goes back to the beginning, planting the seed.
Yes.
It's the first thing of the book, the first sentences of the book. I think, as a man thinketh, so is he. And then he goes into, as the plant springs from and cannot be without the seed. So every act of a man springs from the hidden seed of thought. And that's the dream as well. So whatever you're dreaming of, you can attain it. You just have to keep that lighthouse in view.
Yes.
Every day. Because he goes through in one of these chapters. In this chapter, I believe, where the man, the youth is working somewhere he doesn't want to work, in some kind of house. What is it? He's working in the field or somewhere where he doesn't want to be. And so now it's time, but he sees himself getting to a higher place. And so we follow this young man on his journey from child with nothing to a man who has everything.
Yep.
And in between, people say, oh man, he was lucky. Oh, he was blessed. Oh, he just got a chance. They give themselves these chances. YouTube stars, YouTube influencers, I don't knock them at all. They put themselves in a position to be where they are. Now, the question is what are they feeding the masses?
True. And
what are the masses uplifting right now?
Yeah.
So if you like Skittles and Snickers and stuff like that, great. But you need your veggies and your fruits. You need your protein as well. So this runs us into, once you get to a place of where you have achieved your dream or dreams, you want your peace of mind.
True.
And in Serenity, he talks about how the calm man, having learned how to govern himself, knows how to adapt himself to others.
Yeah.
And they in turn reverence his spiritual strength and feel that they can turn of him and rely upon him, that they can learn of him and rely upon him. And then I highlighted this: the more tranquil a man becomes, the greater is his success, his influence, his power for good. And for that, when I heard that, I was like, that is where I would like to be as a father, as a friend, as a son, where all week, little things have been happening to me where it's like, I think I'm supposed to get pissed right now. I'm supposed to get upset. But I don't see when I say I'm supposed to, my body is in mode like, crump, like, let's go.
Yeah.
Say something. Getting cut off in traffic.
Yeah.
Especially traffic. We all get that one. But what happened yesterday? Something happened specific. My daughter called me. And she came in hot. I can't believe, because her little cousin came into town, and she's not used to being with the other cousins. And so she apparently lied on the middle cousin, who used to lie on her, who used to lie on my daughter. But now my daughter's hot because she feel like the whole house, my parents and my brother, everybody in the house is against my little cousin. Everybody against them. Daddy, I don't care. Grammy and Grandpa can sit down. Da, da, da. And I'm sitting there like, hold up. You talking about my mom and my dad? Now, I didn't say that because I'm going to let her vent. So I let her vent, get it all out. Yeah. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, why am I allowing her to vent? Why am I not checking her or stopping her in this moment? I wanted her in that moment. Well, I wanted to, first of all, get the information. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. Did you watch the news? Who told you all this stuff? Everybody against her? Who said that?
Oh, man.
She probably said it. Who else said it? So, as a man, I had to sit there and observe. And I was talking to my lady after about, should I have had checked it as it came? Or should I have just allowed it to flow through and then come at it later on? And I think there are times, I think there's discernment on when to, hey, chill out. She didn't cuss or nothing like that, but she one time, she was like, hey, Dad, how you doing? She was like, yo, I can't believe, da-da-da. I was like, whoa. And I had to just get my bearings too. And stay calm and get that peace of mind that I feel like Lawrence Fishburne would always be. Like in Boys in the Hood. Lawrence Fishburne will always play that.
Well, you gotta,
But this gives you
gentrification. No, I'm sorry. Keep going, man.
Well, what I'm saying is for any person, any man, any woman who reads this book, it does empower you. It gives you a full. I think it gives you a full curriculum on how to start your journey to becoming the person you want to be. It's not super specific in each regard, in each area. In certain areas, all this talks about a man's thought is a man's thought is a man's thought is a man's thought. Like, it's always going to come back to what you think, based in this book. And so I would implore you to check your thinking at each moment. Like every 5 minutes, just be like, especially when something get to you. Stop. Why are we yelling at our kids? Right? I yell at my daughter, but I do it in jest. I'm like, hey! And then it wakes her up and she sees I'm playing, but it's like, come on, what we doing here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, man. I know this is the last chapter, and I know we don't have a lot of time, so I just want to really say, read this book, As a Man Thinketh. I'm gonna have Trey also, tell us what he thinks about Serenity.
You know what? I also think he would letting it ride. Because the other reason why, sometimes if you cut them off, you create the resistance, and they haven't. You ever had a conversation you thought was over? But it was just, and they come back next week or come back the next day. It's probably because they didn't release it on the initial. Because sometimes we try to problem solve. Sometimes we already have a rehearsed response. Sometimes we're fact finding. And you sure that was and you go through those modes. Or you may even have like judgment all on your face, and they like, so they're not even giving you everything. But it's cool. Like, it's kind of like if we do like talk therapy, just let people just flow. This is a good little tip to find out. Sometimes you want to find out when people lie a little bit too. Just let people talk. Just let them ride. And if you get quiet and you just listen, people don't like empty space.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
And so if they're smart, they'll ask, ask a question. Most of the time, especially if they have like guilt on themselves, they'll try to fill in. And you're like, something else is going on. But that's one of the things I think allowing people to get through and allowing them to process is a big deal. Second part is you're able to just monitor where you are. Okay, like I can process a lot more. I can see because it's something at the end of the story. If you would have cut off, you probably would not have heard.
Right. I can see that.
Right. So it's like getting all the data so that we can have a strategic approach and a choice of how we're going to deal with something. I do like this idea, and there's a quote in there. Come on.
Oh yeah, I got one too.
One, the strong, calm man is always loved and revered. You know what else I thought about when I think about serenity? I think about a river, right? It's a body of water, no disturbance. And the reason why that's important, there's something about being unoffendable that I think everyone should work to achieve.
Ooh.
This is not apathy. This is just being unoffendable. You can take in things that you can respond, or you can interact with probably even things that are counter to what you believe, your ideals, your visions, right? But you're not offended.
I like this idea.
And I think if we can get to people being really unoffendable, I think you're going to be in it. Like, it's nothing's just disturbing you, because you also one of the ways to get there is to realize that everyone's living from their own perspective and perception. They're living from the inside out. I always say that people are giving you a loving response or a cry for help, Everybody's doing it. You can check it out every time. Your daughter calling you, she's upset. It ain't a loving response. She's crying for help. Even if she's mad, even if she's sad, even if she's frustrated, even if she's in a point of rage, whatever it may be. It's not elation. It's not loving. It's a cry for help in some particular way. And so I think those are the things that if we can play it out, like how do we make sure that we're not always crying for help? I'm always trying to give a loving response. That also makes you unoffendable.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching you. That's not your truth. And I give people benefit of the doubt. I don't think there's a big difference between people being wicked and people being weak, in my opinion. Ooh. And we sometimes jump to the conversation or jump to the belief that people are wicked when really they're dealing with a weakness that it's just they've like created an identity around. That's probably another conversation, but we're out of our time right now. Hope this book was good. What do you think?
Man, I loved it. I think anybody, because it's such a short read, you can read this in literally 20 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but the depth in which it goes, I think it kind of permeates an imprint upon you. At least it did for me. And so I'm constantly like, I want to slap. Wait, why I want to slap? Wait, why am I thinking? Because I'm mad. Why am I mad? Why am I upset? You know how some people can be mad at somebody who's happy? Yeah. Just simply because they're happy. And I've been there. And sometimes it might come in, especially if it's in a situation where I feel you shouldn't feel that way.
Envy.
Right.
Not a loving response.
Right.
It happens every time.
And so knowing these things, having this book, and it going back to, at the end of the day, I want to be a man of peace. But I'd rather be the old Japanese quote, which is, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
All time.
Yeah. So I have all the tools I need to defend myself, my family, protect myself, my family. Because a weak man is not I was gonna say a strong man. Duh. But and I'm gonna start. I'm just gonna say this now. I'm starting to call the days of the strength. That's what I'm starting to call them. So the strength end, the strength days. So you got a strong days or strong ends. I'm even changing my language in general. But I was going somewhere with the whole men being weak in mind and character. And so when you see someone who has high character and high values, I think you should take notice of that.
For sure.
And this book helped me recognize for me who I see myself as, and knowing that if I can get these negative thoughts, or at least think non-negatively, it'll help me get to where I want to get to.
I'll push you a little bit.
Please.
Thinking more holistically.
Yes.
Because
I like that
you
idea.
you can't know one without the other.
True.
You know joy because of pain. You know pain because of joy. You know sadness because you know happiness. It literally is knowing things that are whole, knowing that everything has another side of the coin that we should always pay attention to.
Yep. Totally agree. So think holistically.
Yeah.
And that's also called that there are hold-ons. Oh, that's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different book.
Yeah. But that puts you in a place of being calm. Puts you in a place of being mindful, which is also a way of getting to that place of serenity. So this is As a Man Thinketh episode. We don't know, but hopefully you enjoyed the book. I'm Trey D.
Goodbye.
See you on the next episode.
Peace out.